Welcome to Seisan Kata, the beginning of the making of a warrior. A kata is a sequence of choreographed moves designed to simulate a fight with one or more opponents. In Isshinryu Karate, the first kata or form is called Seisan. Master Woods, Sensei Schaefer, and Sensei Mabin perform it at the correct speed, followed by a breakdown of the kata as directed by Grand Master Willie Adams. Finally, it will be shown in slow motion as an additional reference. And now, Seisan Kata. Karate begins and ends with courtesy, but your eyes should always remain on your opponent, in particular his solar plexus. For the opening courtesy bow, the heels are together, feet pointed out at a 45-degree angle, and arms at your side. As in real life, a wise person always wants peace before they want war. Hold these symbols in front of you and follow with a formal bow. Master Adams explains another reason for this action and the meaning of karate.
We start out with peace first, then with the hand open, then we start off with war, which is second. This also means with the hand in front, we cover our weapon, we hide our weapon, that we study martial art behind our head, in our brain, that we don't expose to anyone that we are students of the martial art. But we always want peace before we want war. And this is what we offer our opponent first, is peace. Karate is self-defense. We never strike first in the martial art. And this is to our advantage because we know where our opponent's weight is coming towards us, where his balance is and so forth, then we can counterattack, because karate is self-defense, not offensive.
In Seisan Kata, several of the sequences of moves are repeated 3 times, and this is noted on your screen. To start Seisan Kata, step to the right into a kumai or combat position. Your feet should be shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent, back straight, and both hands in a fist. Your opponent will be throwing a straight punch. Catch by bringing both fists to your right side with the left one on top. Glide your left foot forward into a Seisan stance. Remember that the feet are still shoulder-width apart, but in a heel-toe position. After you step, execute a middle area block, followed by a right seiken straight punch. Because your block is striking on the inside of an attacker's arm, it is called an inside block. Also, when you strike, picture penetrating the target and not just contacting it. As the opponent blocks your first punch, move into him a second time, stepping out right and counter-striking with a reverse seiken punch. After the opponent blocks the second punch, step forward into a Seisan stance, settle your weight, and strike once more. As you execute these first 3 punches, each one should be stronger than the previous punch. Master Adams explains why we strike more than once to stop the opponent.
So we never underestimate our opponent, and we don't rely on one blow to stop a person, or we don't underestimate our opponent saying that he can't fight back either.
Now cross your arms in front of you with your right arm on top of the left one at the hip or obi level. Step slide forward with your left foot and bring your arms up, executing 2 number 9 blocks to stop 2 blows coming at your head. The proper position of the arms at their apex is above the head, left fist in front of the right one, with a distance of one fist between them. Now you must face an attacker coming from behind. Listen first. Drop your arms down, crossing them in front, and open your hands to cover your solar plexus. Look over your shoulder and pivot on your left foot 180 degrees. Cover the groin with your right leg as you turn and step back into another Seisan stance. Shudo strike the pelvic bone of each opponent. Next, put up your defense. Here the right hand is at groin level and the left one is level with your face. The edges of your knife hand face forward. Step forward with your right foot and settle your weight. As the opponents punch and kick at you at the same time, sweep your right hand on the outside in a circular clockwise motion. Your right hand should be in what's called a kake block. Palm up and hand at a 45-degree angle to the wrist. Swing your left hand downward, close to your body, and block the kick, striking at the opponent's ankle where it meets the foot. Turn your right hand over and face it downward, grasping your opponent's sleeve. Pull him past you and off balance as you exhale 90% of your air. Master Adams explains the importance of correct breathing.
Breathing brings your mind and body together, and also it gives you inner strength and ki power, which is your inner power that enables, no matter how tall or how small you are, you can pull your opponent off balance with ki power by using breath control. And we generally let out 90% of the air in our body when we pull, or even when we execute a technique.
Bring your hands into the Shudo defense again, with the blades of your knife out. Glide your left foot forward into a Seisan stance. This time, kake block the punch on the left side, and down block another kick. Even when you block, aim at the vital areas of your opponent's limbs to inflict as much pain as possible. Turn your hand over and grasp the opponent's arm or sleeve, and pull him off balance. Again, exhale 90% as you do this. You are attacked in this manner a third time. Guard your groin and jodan area and step out right. Using your elbows as pivot points, redirect the opponent's technique away from you. Turn your right hand over, grasp, pull, and exhale. Master Adams demonstrates what's also happening when we execute this sequence of moves.
We're stepping into our opponent, blocking with what we call a kake block, knocking our opponent down, and also chopping down strike at our opponent's ankle. That's the kicking at us from the side, reaching out, pulling our opponent into off balance. But the hidden technique is we throw a shote, which is a palm heel strike to the base of the nose. But it's, as we do kata, all the techniques are hidden. So actually what you're seeing is only like maybe 40% of what's actually really happening.
Prepare to face an attacker from the side. Listen and catch by bringing the left fist on top of the right one at the right hip. Look, raise the leg to cover the groin, and step slide out with your left foot into a Seisan stance, 90 degrees from the direction you were facing. Block his punch with a number 6 middle area block. As you throw a right and left punch, the attacker blocks both. So follow with a maigiri to the pelvic bone and finish with a right straight punch. By stepping into the attacker, you break his focus. Direct all of your strength and energy into the target area. As you hear someone behind you, listen, catch left, and turn your head 180 degrees. Make a half turn to the right into a Seisan stance. Then raising the right knee, step slide to your right towards the next opponent. Master Adams talks about the importance of these half steps.
I make a half turn so I don't expose my full body, my vital areas to my opponent. There's very little targets to hit on the side of someone's body.
Block right the punch to your chest. Execute 2 punches, kick left, and finish off the attacker with a left straight punch. Your acceleration should be increasing with each strike. Now an attacker appears 90 degrees to your left. Listen, catch with your left fist on top at the right hip. Look and step left, sliding your feet into a Seisan stance. When your weight reaches 50-50, throw a middle area block with your left hand. Punch right, punch left, kick right, punch right. Withdrawing your kicks faster than you throw them will prevent an attacker from catching your leg. On your last punch, your opponent grabbed your arm. Bring your left fist across your body and underneath your other arm. Pivot on the heel of your right foot 45 degrees out and drop your body so the knees are over the toes into what's called a Seujin stance. In this position, you can break or dislocate their arm. Master Adams emphasizes the purpose of these moves.
After your opponent grabs your arm or your wrist, when you shift into another position, it lowers the center of gravity, gives you much more stability, thus enables you to take your opponent off balance.
Now listen for another attacker. Catch left and look over your right shoulder to see him coming at you. Step away from him, placing your left foot behind your right into a cat stance. In this stance, 90% of your weight is on the rear foot and 10% is on the front. Drop the right hand to cover the pelvic bone and step slide forward into a T stance. Deflect the punch. Now turn the wrist, point the elbow at the attacker, and strike to the bridge of his nose with your first two knuckles. After you break his nose, he grabs your wrist. Turn your wrist to loosen the hold, bringing the back leg up to the front one, and step back into a cat stance. As the attacker pulls you, cross the left leg forward over the right into a crane stance, and stomp on the instep of his foot. Here's a more detailed explanation of what's happening.
What we do is raise our leg up, and we try to pull our opponent off balance and break the hold. But if it doesn't work, then our opponent tries to pull us back towards him. And then that's when we cross over, therefore using a cross kick, breaking our opponent's foot.
Kick with your right foot to the pelvic bone as you kiai. Yes! This yell strengthens your spirit and focus and startles your opponent. Put your right foot down into a seisan stance and catch at your shoulder. Down block the attacker's kick to your groin and take him off balance. Follow with a reverse seikan punch. Envision the opponent grabbing that arm. Bring your other arm under his elbow, pivot your left foot 45 degrees, and bend your knees into another seiyuchin stance, breaking or dislocating their arm. Listen as you detect an attack from behind again. Look over your left shoulder and catch right. Step back with your right foot into a cat stance. Drop the left hand and cover the pelvic bone. Now move forward into a T stance. Deflect the punch and break the nose. Again the opponent grabs you. Turn your wrist, bring the rear leg up, and step back to gain the momentum and leverage needed to pull the opponent off balance. Now step across, break the opponent's foot, and execute a kick to their pelvic bone. Set the left foot down into a seisan stance and down block another kick, countering with a straight punch. As he grabs your arm, bring your left fist under and break his arm. A third attacker comes from behind. Listen and catch left. Looking over your right shoulder, step back into another cat stance. Step with the front foot from a cat stance to a T stance. Deflect the punch to your face and strike the nose. As the opponent only kicks this time, catch at the shoulder. Step quickly into a seisan stance, down block, and punch left to the solar plexus. When he grabs your arm, execute a fourth and final arm break. As another opponent moves at you to punch your face, open your hands for defense, bringing the left one under the right elbow. Slide the right foot back 45 degrees from the left into an off oblique cat stance. Circle the left hand out to the punch into what's called a chicken head catch. As you pull him off balance, yell Kia and straighten the feet into a seisan stance. Using your whole body in this way to take his balance adds strength to your technique. Now kick him in the pelvic bone. Grab his arm and pull him into your right straight punch to his heart. Place the left hand over the right one, solar plexus level, and step back into another off oblique cat stance. Circle the hands to sucker the opponent into kicking your pelvic bone. Master Adams describes the final steps of dealing with this last attacker.
The last opponent is coming at me with a front kick to my pelvic bone, step back into a cat stance to break the focus of my opponent's throwing the front kick, making him hyperextend his leg. We catch our opponent's foot at the top of his foot and at the bottom of his foot, and what we do is we break or dislocate the ankle of our opponent, this for ending the fight.
Offer peace once again before war with your bow. Bow one more time to show that karate begins and ends with courtesy. Seisan Kata encourages mobility, emphasizes the basics of Isshin-ryu karate, and educates you not to grab an opponent until they are hurt. Its nickname is 13, and it is represented by the letter H. In Isshin-ryu karate, there are a total of 13 katas. 8 are hand and 5 are weapons. Except for one, all were derived from older martial arts systems and modified by Chief